Right. For any valid input, we'll check the last two digits in the number. If both are even, print for sum. If both are odd, print for product. I always print one odd, one even. You may use length. You cannot use loops, list tuples, or the sort of functions. Use four spaces and place in one tab. Don't forget to comment my code. Use good coding practices. So, yeah, that's it. Here it is. Okay. So the thing I always recommend is to find three things. One is your input. What is the input, right? You mess up the input. That's probably 2, 3 points off right there. And then the process, this is like the main meat of the answer. How do you turn your input to this nice looking output? And obviously, the last part would be the output itself. How do you present the information in a way that the user or me, the PT, or whoever is creating the exam, knows that you did the program correctly? Now, that for keys, we great though. We don't run your code. We'll ignore syntax errors where we understand what you're trying to do. Like if you forget a parentheses for your input statement, you're probably not going to we're not going to take points off for that. But if you use a correct operator, you use the wrong loop, that's probably points off. That's not a syntax error anymore. That's a logic error. So anyways, so input. My input is, I can't hear anything. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I fix my Twitch stream. Hello? Can you hear me still? Did my mic quality just get worse? Just don't type in the chat if you can. Okay. How's my voice sounding? Does it sound fine or did it sound kind of okay? I don't know what's wrong with my Twitch stream. Let's see. I'd like to start restart. I don't know. Huh. That's really weird. Sound check. I think I continue on. This doesn't take a while. So first on is the input. Why is this still here? The input is supposed to be an integer between 100 and 1 million inclusive. So this means my input will be some type of int, right? And I want to have this between 100 and 1 million. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now my output is determined by these conditions. So if you're valid, right, we want the last two digits, and we want your sum, product, or the string based on three conditions. So if I have even, I get the sum. If I have the odd, I get the product. Else, right? Because they're not both even, not both odd. It's going to be one odd, one even. And of course, the rest, this part, a lot of people ignore for some reason. This happens rarely, but it does happen. Make sure you do read the example output. More than likely, every single test case is given to you so that there's no question about, oh, what do I output in this scenario? 99.99% of the time, every single possible output will be given to you on the exam or quiz or whatever. Right. So now here comes the process, right? How do I take this input and generate this output? So I just need to check the last two digits, right? So I want to extract the last two digits. Or an integer, right? Just as an integer, I can just my first digit, I can just modulus 10, right? And then I'll take my number 5 by 10 and then modulus 10 again, and that will be my second digit. So I had like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Mod 10 gives me 4. And then I divide by 10. This gives me 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3 mod 10 will give me 3. So this is how I will get the last two digits. The rest of the process, like these conditions, right? This would be like an if, elif, else. Sorry, music. Okay. So now that I have this plan, let's turn into code. And more times than not, if you can write out this plan, you're pretty much almost done with the whole thing. All you have to do is translate this. This might be an easier problem to translate, but problems that involve loops, lists, both, this can be a little tricky, but I'll touch on those later tonight. So I'm gonna move this to the side. I'm gonna close this tab real quick. All right. I don't know what happened to all my stuff. Oh, this, move this to the side. All right. So remember that in every single FRQ, you will be asked, excuse me, you'll be asked to write comments. If you have your plan ready, this should be the freest point of your life out of making the input correctly. So I'm going to take my plan and make comments out of it. So we'll take the input, right? We'll verify the input. So down here, right, we'll extract the two digits and then check if even, sorry, if both even, odd, or mixed, and do appropriate output. Usually it's like one or two comments, maybe more, but we can just add comments that make sense per block, right? Also, your comments should be we should be precise. You shouldn't say very broad things like it's a loop. Like if you write for a while, yes, we know it's a loop. But the question is, what are you doing in your code? Right? Don't give us very simple, broad comments that state the absolute obvious. Like, oh, I'm just assigning variables. The question becomes, what variables? What are these variables for? Um, taking the input's fine, right? But maybe add some more stuff, right? Like verifying the input, and then I time out process, extracting the digits, and then checking if they're even, odd, mixed, and the appropriate output. That, in my mind, would be appropriate enough for your comment points. So now let's start doing the code. So you want to name your variable something that's very, very clear. The programs that do like X, X1, X2 and over again get really tiring to read because it's really painful to try to decipher what exactly you're talking about. So please, when you're naming your variables, at least have it some semblance to what's supposed to mean. Try not to do like number one, number two. That's just, you can do better naming than that. So the input, right, I can name a number, and then I'll take it as an int. And then in the PDF, I should have that open. Where's here? In PDF, it's said to use this prompt. So I'll just use that. Be sure spacing is accurate. We might not necessarily take points off or a single character off, but if it's a lab, it's a lab book, then every character does matter, right? And here we verify, right? So this is your typical verification while loop. So you'll take your input first, and then you do your while loop, and then you'll keep asking if they're incorrectly asking you for input. So anything inaccurate, right, would be outside the range. You could write not 100 less than equal number less than equal 1 million 3 4 5 6. I think yeah. Some versions of Python allow commas. I don't remember the lowest is. I'll avoid that. You can also just do the ranges outside. So that would mean either number is less than 100 or number exceeds 1 million. You can do whatever floats your boat. I see most people just do this. They do the conditions where it would be outside the range. Now from here, so if I'm outside the range, right, I need to say raw input. And I can see that there is an extra blank line. So I need to make sure I have that. So I do a slash n here to the new line, and then ask again. Now we don't have the input, right? Now we have to do the work. So now I want to extract 2 digits. And I kind of wrote it down over here, right? Kind of wrote it down over here. Little plan of what I'm going to do. And this does help quite a lot if you need to, um, what is it? If you're not too sure how to translate. Do note that, oh, does this work if I have like a 1 digit number, right? The thing is, you have to remember that my number is always at least 3 digits long, which means I always have a first, last 2 digits. I don't have to worry about any edge cases, like 0 or 1, like a 1 digit number. It's always good to have edge cases in the back of your mind when you're looking at this at the end, making sure you don't forget anything. There aren't any edge cases by far here. There's not any particular input that does anything really funky because these math operations, they don't really have anything special to them. If I do 0, I get 0, 0, so that's completely fine. So anyways, extracting these 2 digits. So we'll do first digit. And we'll do last digit just to. So last digit, I'll do number 10. Then I'll change the number to remove that digit. And then my second to last digit, I'll extract the new last digit. Now from here, right, I just need to check if they're both even, both odd, or they're not. So again, I wrote here, right, my if, elif, else. You might need some practice to, quickly think about if it's if, elif, else, right? You don't want to do if, else, obviously, because if it's even, then you print this part and this part at the same time. That's a no-no. Usually, if you have, you know, if you're making one decision based on these are set conditions, just making everything if is your safest bet. You should only do multiple ifs if each condition should have an output. But here, I am deciding on one output based on the three conditions. So the three conditions should be dependent on each other. That means there's an if followed by a bunch of elifs. I should not have three ifs. I mean, in this case, I can have three ifs because they're all um, one being correct doesn't mean the other two could be correct in any scenario, right? But there are times where conditions could overlap, and that's where it's scary. So you do want to be as safe as possible when doing conditions. Don't risk it with extra if statements if you're not entirely sure. If you have one output for every condition, just stick with if, elif, and perhaps else, right? So let's form our conditions. So so the first one's even, right? So if last digit, want 2 equals 0, and second to last digit, want 2 is 0, then we print both even, right? And now I'm just gonna just form my if elif first. I tend to like to form my branches first and then do the outputs. That's just how my brain flows, but you do whatever floats your boat. But this is how I'm gonna do it. So I make sure that I don't accidentally do something I'm not supposed to. All right. So for even, right, I need to do the sum. So here I'm gonna calculate sum. My total, don't use sum as a variable name. Sum is a function name. It's a built-in function, so you should avoid using it. The total here will be last digit plus second to last digit. We'll turn this bad boy into an F string, and then we'll do sum. I don't remember the output. Equals total. And that's it. Here we calculate the product. So product equals last digit times second last digit. Now print both odd. Product equals product. And else we just print out one odd, one even. Sure, yet there's a period I missed right there. But I should add new lines to have the appropriate spacing and one blank line in between outputs. Please don't draw or annotate. I can see the annotations too, which is a little annoying, but uh, yeah. Anyways, so this should be the code. I'm going to do a double check every time you code, right? So like I have a luxury of having an IDE. I can use Visual Studio. Obviously, an exam, you can. Final lab, sure, you can do whatever you want. But exam, you don't get to use Python in any form. It's like a quiz. It has to be on any work you do has to be on paper, and we give you the paper too. It's that strict. So you want to look for your plan, look back, make sure everything's correct. Did I copy the plan that doesn't blend well with the white background? Um, on here, right? Actually, I don't think. Yeah, make sure you don't uh accidentally use anything that's banned. You do lose a lot of points, if not everything, if you use a banned structure. If you want to quizzes, I graded you lost half your points. Like it was like a total of 10, you lost 5 immediately just for using a loop or list or whatever. So do read the directions very carefully. Just because it says you can use something doesn't mean you need it. So it's a hint sometimes, but if you have your own plan, you can go for it. All right. So I think I'm good to go. So let's run this code. Okay. So very first test case is 15. Okay. And 157 is next. 3, 4. Oh, okay, that's good. And then if I run the program again, it goes 3, 4, 6, 8. That looks good to me. And if I run, what's the last one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One odd, one even. Good to go. Any questions on this solution? I'll give it like a minute just in case someone's typing. All right, there seem to be any questions. I can see, right, if this was an FRQ, I sat here explaining for 10, 15 minutes, right? 10 minutes, right? If I did full speed, I'd be done in like 5. So, if you have any simpler, this is what I call a simpler FRQ, right? It's more straightforward input, validation, small processing, and outputting. And all your programs or FRQs will fall under this format. You take input, you process it, you output it. It's like any sort of problem, right? What's the problem? What info am I given? What should I be doing? And how do I let people know I'm doing something correctly? Give me 1 second, I got pinged. All right. Choose the if statement and get to wow. No, you have to continue asking if it's wrong. If I type 2 wrong inputs and you just let it run, it's not going to work, right? Um, so you have to think, oh, I am asking for input until they give you the right one. Any sort of thing like that, any sort of, what to say, or any type of stuff with error validation, right? You have to use while loop. Unless Facebook, like if it's not specified, you assume it's while loop. Unless it's specified that sometimes it'll specify, oh, if there's an error, you just print it one time and you end the program. But normally there is just um, you use a while loop. So this while loop, I'd say, is very important. You need to recognize that this general structure of take input, while loop a condition, and then um, actually say no loops. Do. Oh, no loops and this an if statement. Such. Okay. In that case, you put an if statement, then that's kind of awkward. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. See, I read this a little too fast. I'm like, oh, I can't use loops to like extract the digits, but I've completely forgot I used that for the input verification. So that's on me. But in general, you do want to recognize like the while variation, but a no loop variation, you have to do if. And obviously no loops means the code runs exactly once. So you go. But the rest of the code doesn't use a loop though. So we're good on that end. So we want the last two digits, right? So like as I written like here, right? If I have a number and I mod 10, I get a remainder, right? That remainder is always the last number. Now to get the next number, right? I can just remove, if I remove the very last digit by dividing by 10, right? By integer dividing. The new last digit was the old second last digit. So using remainder and division here extracts the values for me. The other way you can do it is you can convert your number to a string and then just use indexing, right? So -1, -1 would go in here. And then the second to last is obviously -2. Of course, you convert it back to int so you can actually use the number. Either way works, right? I think length was used as a hint, so you do length -1, length -2. That's kind of unnecessary. Just use -1 and -2. So there's a lot of ways to extract the two digits. Like this part is very flexible. Actually, not too flexible. You only really have two ways. It's you treat as a string, you index it, or you treat as a number. And you do a lot of modulus and division. This type of digit extraction you should be used to as well. It's been asked a few times, and it does like to be asked from time to time. But whether or not it'll be on the exam, I don't know. By the way, you don't want to make your question public. You can just directly ask me. I won't say your name. I'll just answer your question straight up. Right. So do note that, you should try to make good variable names. You shouldn't be so low on time that you can't make good names, and you actually might confuse yourself if you have really weird names, trying to think, oh, what's X, what's X1, what's X2. Do yourself a favor, make good names so you're not confused, and then it does us a favor so we can more quickly identify what you're doing. And if you do something wrong, it's more likely, at least in my opinion, it's more likely I could give you partial credit. If I see the direction you're going, but you can execute it completely perfectly, perfect, I'll give you partial for that. The rubrics tend to give a lot of partial credit, so I wouldn't be reliant on that so much, but at the same time, I would use that knowledge to just put everything down, right? Put your comments down, show your work. It's like math class, right? You drive the answer either way, cool. But if you don't get the correct answer, we're gonna look at your work. Look at what you did, what you tried. And we'll see, well, if you did this stuff right, we'll give credit for that. But if you did the other stuff right, I'll see how many points I can give you, if any. Usually good attempts that are slightly off get partial credit. If you just did it completely wrong, that's obviously zero. But you obviously don't get your hopes up just because you think you did a good job doesn't mean you get partial. Do your best to make sure it's accurate so we don't have to decide how much points how many points we give you, because depending on the PT that grades you, they might be more strict, they might be less strict. Maybe the rubric is more strict than others. I don't know. Don't make us have to give us partial credit if you did it right the first time. All right. So the next question I had planned. If I can view it. Question 2. All right. So I'm going to save this. Oh, all right. Question 2 is write a Python program that takes 5 inputs from users, one each, and outputs them in chronological order. Dates should be entered a month and day, not the year, in format month space day as a single input per user. You may format the output however you like, um, including using appropriate numbers for the months and the words. This is a good problem to use dictionaries. Out of spite, I did this question originally without using dictionaries because I'm a spiteful person. But if they, give you a hint as blatant as this is probably a good start. But again, with hints, right? You should only use them if you can take advantage of them. The best way to do FRQ is do whatever is most comfortable to you. We're not looking for the most clean, beautiful, sexy code to ever walk and grace our computer screens. We're looking for correct code, right? We got a rubric. We're going to be looking for this thing and that thing and that thing. If everything, we give you points, right? And that's what you want. You're not looking for being, acclaimed to be the most beautiful literature writer in Python. You're here to get your points, get your grade, right? So we copy paste this prompt and let's analyze this. Like I said before, right? First thing I want to look for is input. Next thing I'm looking for is the process. Third thing I'm looking for is the output. Okay. The input, right? It's 5 birthdays from 5 users of one each. Okay, so that means I have, probably a for loop that goes 5 times. And I take in an input. This is the format, right? So I know that with this like June 6th format, there's a space right here that divides my month and my day. This is a good opportunity for me to do dot split and take these and put them in different variable. This could be one variable, this could be another variable, right? I could make 2 lists. But this is an idea that I'm floating around. Brainstorm is completely fine. You don't have to always use, you don't always have to use the exact same, what you write down, you don't have to use it. But having ideas down, is really, really good in case, if one thing fails, you have somebody else to back you up. If you only know one way and you don't do it right, then you might be in a bit of trouble. So brainstorm is good in case you think about edge cases you didn't realize quite yet. Right. So input, so far so good. Right. No year, so I don't have to worry about a year. It's one input per user, so this reinforces my for loop. The fact that I'm asking one at a time rather than a whole string of inputs, like your lab seven individual, like pick Latin, lead speak, whatever. Now for the process, right? All it says is chronological order. So just in order. This is exceptionally broad. It could be in reverse or normal order. I assume it's normal order. Most people order dates chronologically in order from like smallest date to oldest date, right? I'm going to take a peek just in case there's something I missed. There's no output here. Yeah, there's no output here at all. And like it said in the prompts, I can output however I like. This means that as long it's obvious that my dates are in order, I should get full credit. So this is, up to me. Now, these prompts tend to be pretty difficult. It's usually not, I'll just say this, it's pretty, this is where most people have trouble, is we don't have a straightforward process. There's so many ways you can approach this. One way, right, is to sort by month and the day, right? So you'll go through each of your dates and you'll swap your months back and forth and compare the dates. And that's pretty logical, right? When you do this in as a human, right? Sometimes you'll do this. You'll look at the months, and if you have the same month, you'll compare the days. And we kind of store that order and update as you go, right? Um, a nuance you can see is that you are actually allowed to use numbers, right? And this can be very abusable. Because numbers can be sorted, they can be compared very easily versus a month, right? So if you use numbers, you could use a dictionary, right? Use a dictionary or month comparison. Comparison. There's, quite a few ways, but I want to talk about a very sneaky way of doing this lab that makes this lab, it's pretty, I won't say ingenious, but it's pretty creative. I'll put it that way. So note that every time I set a comparison, right, I've always said the same thing in particular. I always said um, check month, right? And then my day is use day as a tiebreaker. Now I want to use the fact I can use numbers, right? If I can use numbers, that means I have access to two things. Most obviously is int, right? Int I can do on month to number. So like January could be 1, December is 12, so on and so forth. But the more tricky thing I want to talk about is I can actually use float for this scroll. Float might seem really weird. I have purely integer values, right? My months are 1 through 12. My days are 0 through 31. But here's the catch, right? Think about how you usually compare numbers, right? You tend to start with a whole part, right? And then if there's any two that are the same, like these two right here, right? You then compare the decimal part. This type of comparison makes me think, oh, what if I did month as the whole part and day as the decimal part? Whole part. And my plan will be to basically convert every, like, say June 6th, right? June 6th will become 6.6, right? And then you're like December 19 will become 12.19. But and think about this, there's one small problem. This, right? If I had December, like, I don't know, first, not first, that's about, let's do two, the second, right? I have 12.2. 12.2 is greater than 12.19, even though December 2nd should be before December 19th. The easiest way to fix that is to pad. So I know two things now from your research. If I have a one digit day, I just want to give it a little zero pad. 0, 6, 0, 2. And my problem should be solved. I can turn every string into a float, sort them all, and then output them back as day as month and day. And the output allows me to output day, a month and day as numbers. So I am entirely correct to do so. Any questions so far about this process? I do want to reiterate, you should do whatever comes easiest to you. This, unironically, actually is my preferred way of doing it. Uh, it's actually because this is like my fourth time doing this lab, so I actually kind of I did this lab last year, for my review session last year, so it kind of went back to me. It's like, ah, right, I use flits. No questions. Okay, cool. So, in that case, I think I need to have this like idea, right? I'll just store it somewhere. Orange trash this for now. Oops. Let's see. Now I know that I want to use like my format, my template is I'm gonna do month day. So I'm gonna turn this month day string into on month dot day flip, right? And this is a flip. Go from here to here requires multiple steps. So one, I need a split. You store the month and a day separately. Then I need to assign the month numbers. This uses a dictionary, right? Because if I associate every month to a number, then this in fact means, oh, that's not free. I am associating every number to my split use. We'll have a string. I want to, my input string is always month space day. So if I want to extract a month and a day individually, I want to split. So you have a list of two strings. The first one is always the month. The second one is always today. That is the format that's being used. It's similar to like not split list, Pig right? You split on the space to extract every word. Um, not Capricorns. What's the other one? Leet speak? Because no, not even leet speak. Just mainly like Pig Latin, right? You split on the space to get every day. In this case, I'm splitting on the space to extract a month and day for each input. The month always being the first string, the day being the second. So if I split right here, right, I get my month, I get my day as two separate values in list. Right, so dictionary for the month numbers, right? And then I need to add day. And this is very easily done or justifying. And then I want to recombine the string. I still have strings, right? I haven't converted anything to numbers yet. I recombine the string. So I have like month dot day, and then cast to flip. That would be my fifth step. And that is my entire conversion from my input to a usable number for the entire part of sorting chronologically. Any questions so far? All right, y'all don't know R justify, do you? Okay, so R justify, um, so my day, right? If it's a single day, I'm like 06. If it's a 2 day, I'll keep it as 19, right? The question is, how do I guarantee it's 06, right? The easy way is if you use string.rjust, right? And you specify a number in pad, right? So this is like the amount of space, and this is the filler. So in this case, if I have like 6, right? Dot rjust to 0, then I will make the string size 2. I'll put this text right justified. It's always to the right. Any empty space I get, I fill in with 0. So you get 0, 6. You could also do like an if statement. That. You can do an if statement as well. It might be easier to just do. Let me erase this. It might be useful to just say, erase this any faster. Old man hands. Like if length day equals 1, then day equals 0 plus day. So here's fine, right? You just need to somehow add that 0 to the end so that my 0.06, my 0.19, right? 6th day, the 19th day is probably sorted. And I don't run into a 0.6 and 0.19, which gets very confusing very quickly. Right? 0.20, right? This is 6, 19th, 20th. It would be really awkward if it was 19, 20th, and 6th. That does not make very much sense. Any more questions? This is your time to ask. Like the process and understanding thinking is always very important. I chose to talk about this weird method because uh, I also think it's equally important to understand how to analyze how other people do it. This isn't exactly a super complicated way, but this does require you to really fully understand string floats, its split, all that good stuff. R-justify, as I just explained, right? That is, um, you can specify um, how much. It's like your f string justify, right? In f strings, you can have, you str and you do this number, right? And this gives you a 6 space thing, and you put in your string, right? And then this is your padding. And we'll just do quotes, right? But for rjust, right, it's similar, except you can, so this 6 stays the same, right? So this time you can specify the padding. So you make the string 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you justify it. You can also pad in your filler into the individual spaces. I wouldn't use an if statement or just. It's kind of unnecessary because if you have 2 digits already, right? Like I'm going to use rjust 2, right? If my string is already 2 digits, there will be no 0. But if my string has 1 digit, then it's going to become 06. But this just becomes 12. The if statement, like I said earlier, you can just check if the length is 1 and then manually add the 0 yourself. Dictionaries aren't tested. I did say that I did this without using dictionaries, so I would not use dictionaries for this one. Should I highlight that? I'm going to use a list on this one. Do lists. So it's exam one compliant. If statement, you do if length day is one, just add the string 0 to the front, and that'll be it. Choose one or the other. Don't do both. You can use both, but it's redundant. And you do or justify run, that's points off. So do what floats your boat. Any more questions? I highly recommend you'll look back in the sitebook and really study the string and well, if you can, like obviously if you're behind on content, right? Like you don't understand lists yet, you don't understand loops and focus on those. But if you do have a, you know, what you believe is a solid understanding of everything so far, like the main contents, lists, loops, if statements, all that good jazz. I recommend you look into Zybooks and really study string and list methods. They're incredibly powerful tools that can simplify your code in so many ways. Um, the individual labs for lab 7, most of them are actually really short. Capricorn's constant is like 20, 25 lines long. Leet speak, the main process, can be written in 3 lines. You need a for loop, an if statement, and a specific command, a function for that. Pig Latin, Pig Latin's almost the same thing as well. It's a for loop, couple if statements, and the appropriate command for each. I'm missing one. So a split list is also split list or loop could be 3 lines, the while loop and 2 statements. But shorter code, right, means you really know what the prompt is asking about, and you really know how to utilize every tool to the maximum extent. And that's why Lab 7 in particular is difficult. Up to now, right? Conditions, variables, strings. I mean, strings are pretty flexible, but so far, you've been using everything in a limited way. Very straightforward labs, which is good, right? We don't want to throw the whole kitchen sink at you. But now in 2 weeks, we taught you loops and list. And the thing is, strings in a lot of ways can be treated like a list. And that complicates things even further now. Now you have 3 insanely flexible tools: strings, loops, and list, all with a ton of methods or a ton of functionalities that we haven't taught about yet, or you just have to figure out for yourself and see how to use in conjunction with another. A lot of these really weird intricacies um, that separates, a good programmer and a great programmer, or someone who knows their stuff and someone who truly understands and can apply everything to a T. I'm not doing this so I can show you that I know what I'm doing. I'm doing this review so I can explain, like, oh, um, you know, I don't really have doubts that most of y'all know conceptually what a list is. If I ask everyone here what a list is, I would have full confidence that everyone here would tell me it's in some way it's a container that holds values, and you can access each value index. Very straightforward, very simple, very accurate. Strings, the same thing. You told me it was any sort of text encapsulated by quotes. That's perfectly accurate. If I asked you what a loop is, and you told me it's some structure that lets me do code or do something a certain amount of times for loop, or based on the conditions, a while loop, That's also very accurate, right? I would not doubt that conceptually you'll understand, these concepts. But the hard part, the really hard part is, do you know, like, how well do you know these tools, right? Um, do you really understand how list works, right? How well can you manipulate the features they give you, right? Like with verification, right? It's an input followed by a while loop followed by input. If you're looping for indices, right? We always say use a for loop because you can manipulate the loop variable to go through every index possible. That's a basic example of using a for loop, not just because it does it the same amount of times, but it's also because it also will give you every index you need, which is very, very handy. Versus a while loop, we have to instantiate counter variable or index variable, increment, blah, blah, blah. So when I do these labs, right, I will be doing, we're trying to do what I consider like quote unquote simpler code or shorter code. I'm not going to do anything insane like list comprehension or extreme shenanigans that are beyond, like way beyond the scope. But I do want to touch on some intricacies about loops, lists, and strings in particular, because if you can really weaponize those, right? If you even know how to correctly if you know what type of input you should have, that in itself is yeah. I want to talk about solution. I just want to go on a little talk for a bit before I go on because I don't want to spend too much time explaining why I'm doing random stuff. Um, no worries. This was not planned. I don't plan my reviews usually. So yeah, if I start doing, quote unquote fancy stuff, it's not anything too fancy. I just want to show that, oh, if you really know about lists, this is a very powerful way of using it. There's obviously the longer way, but if you can do it shorter, and it makes sense, then you should do that as well. Right. Anyways, without further ado, let's get through the solution. So first, right, I want to take the input. And the question is, how do I store the input? How do I want to store the input? I'm gonna make just some like preset variables. First off, I want to make my months. I said I was use dictionary, so I won't use a dictionary. And I'm going to do it like this. Oh, have January in here. Okay, we'll do all lowercase. Do January, February, March, April. The text May, June. It's been a while since I've done a calendar. July, August, September, October, November. Can't type any faster, apparently. December. All right. And why do I not need a dictionary? I mean, it is a dictionary, makes sense. If I know the index, right? So this is zero, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, right? So my month is the index plus one. If I know the index, I know what number I have. And neatly enough, there's actually a built-in function for that. And I'll talk about that when we get there. But for now, keep this in the back of your head. Right? So my no list shenanigans. I want to store my dates. I'll put it like this. Okay. So here I want to take my input. So I'm gonna do it 5 times, right? So for I in range. It doesn't matter what I call the variable. So I'm gonna use it. 5, right? So I am going to extract the month and day. So my date, right, will be input. Did they ask? Did they tell me how to get the input? No, they didn't even tell me how to do the input. So that's up to me as well. Usually FRQs are not as vague. they will tell you exactly how you want to input, exactly how you want the output. In this case, it's up to me. So enter the month, the birthday. Also, they didn't say anything about invalid inputs at all, so I'm assuming give me a valid input. So I'm gonna dot split on the space. Split does it on space automatically, but I always specify the string to be safe and to remind myself what I'm doing. My month is the date, first index, right? My day is my second one. Now I convert to a float. My month number will be months.index month plus one. Dot index, see if you can read this. Says returns the first index of her value. I forgot something here. I should do dot lower. Dot lower forces my string to be lowercase. This is exceptionally strong if you know you have an input with random capitalization. If you force it to be lowercase, then you can just check it against its lowercase version, and any capitalization mix of this string will always be accepted because you force it to be lowercase. It's also nice because remember that strings can't be directly changed. So you also have this doesn't change your original copy. This doesn't change your original string, which means if for some reason you want to keep the original string, then there you go. So my month number is complete. Um, and then I will now do my day number, right? And this would be what was it? I said it would be day number, oh, day dot justify 2 0 pay. Right. Just for emphasis, I'm gonna print out what I get when I do this. It's not -1 because January is my first month, but it's 0 index. February is my second month, but it's index 1. So if I wanted my actual month number, I have to add 1 to everything. If I had to subtract 1, I would get January being -1. That would be really awkward. All right. Is there, yeah. So where's my one? Here it is. Yeah. So let's say I had January 1st, right? Right, when if I do July 15, I get 715. If I do March 2nd, 302. December 25, go Christmas. I do Halloween. It works, right? I get my correct month number and my numbers are padded as needed. Now I just need to make my final date, right? So my final date, I'll make, so it's gonna be a float of following F string. I'll put in my month number, followed by my day number. Now we can just print final date and we can see what we get. I do January 1st, right? 1.01. If I did March 2nd, 3.02, December 5th, March 12th, we'll do October 31st again. So you can see that my numbers coming to fruition. Now, obviously, right, I need to store this date somewhere, otherwise it would just disappear. So dates.append final date. And this is me inputting and processing. This is it, just this, right? I have to, so here I've shown a use list, right? I demonstrated using for loops. I can use an input. I know how to use split. Split, I think can be tested. Is that one? That one you should know by now. Stuff like lower, probably not. Orange just definitely no. But again, I can use an if statement for that. This is, using f strings to your advantage, and then Okay, append will obviously be tested. Can you add to a list? Right. Right here, right? We need to get chronological order, right? So do dates of sort. Now we do output. For date in dates. We'll do the following. So I will convert my date string will be I'll turn a date into a string. Right? And then my month number, I'm sorry, and we'll split it on period this time. Now, my month number is the date string 0 index because my month, right? Without this, just do this. If length day equals 1, here, we'll do this. Day number equals day. Day number equals 0 plus day. There you go. You can use RGist, yeah. If you the thing is, if you use code we haven't taught you before, you better darn know how it does, what it does. If you start using stuff you can't remotely explain it, we're gonna assume something suspicious is going on. But if you can full on explain your code, and you do the most downright atrocious, as I mean like complexity code, sure, I don't know why you do that to us. But if you want to get a little fancy, throw in some list comprehension or dictionary list shenanigans, do what you want. All I'm gonna say is you better effing know how that code works, because a lot of stuff we see that are very advanced are very nice indicators that, um, well, you didn't exactly follow the on code, put it that way. Annotate, move this. All right. So far, we got a month number, right? And then I can leave a day alone. So the day number, right, will be date string 0, right? 1. Now, I want to format this, right? So I want to get the month. So before, right, I said that my month number is the index plus 1. So my index, right, so my actual month is month number minus 1. Now we'll print month day number. And that's it, right? So this part works already. We've already tested it. I sort everything now because everything's a float. So I can sort every O in order. Now I go for every date and I turn to a string, and then I split on the decimal point. So now the left side is my month, right side's my day. I turn that left side month into an int, so I can use it here to extract the name of the month. And my day, well, I'm just gonna print it out, so I don't really care about converting it. If I want to get really fancy, I use .capitalize. Okay. So let's do some practice, right? So we're gonna do January, let's do 9, right? January 12th, you can ever spell. We'll also for January 31st, we'll throw in a big one. This. And then random in the middle like that. You can see all my dates are exactly in order. I use capitalize, just capitalize as the first letter in a string for you. It's kind of neat. It's also really specific. Using date, no, won't interfere. This date exists only in this for loop. This date exists only in this for loop. There's no interference. Date was not defined out here, so I'm good to go. If you rather use like D to be safe, right? That's up to you. But no, there will be no interference between this date and this date because we're in Python's eyes. Once you get out of this for loop, this date variable never existed. In fact, we're in two different for loops, so they have like zero recognition of each other. Any other questions? But I did keep my promise. I said no list, and that's why I did no list. This time, surely, this time, I did not. Yeah, I didn't ban me from doing it. Yeah, so you could. Yeah, pretty short and sweet code, right? It's a little lengthy. I mean, don't expect your code to be insanely short all the time. Um, but take the time, add some comments, do a little spacing to split up the different parts of your code so we can read it a little easier, right? It doesn't take you too long to do a little cleanness, right? Like maybe your photo of while loops might look a little atrocious looking. Mine definitely looked like that when I first started coding. Pretty horrendously organized, but do what you can do to at least help, right? Comments are the best way to help. Repeat TL helps yourself, right? Yeah, points and stuff. Yeah, we're already posted actually. Well, somebody's already posted. We're in a GitHub. If you go to the review drive, you go to review practice folder. There's a document that says review answers. Um, these are in the same GitHub. So once this video is over, I'm going to publish these solutions right away. So they'll be live to use. Feel free to. So I abuse the fact that when you do a number, right, like 1.2, 3.4, you look at this part first and then carry on decimal, right? It doesn't matter if I like a gigantic ending part, if this part is like smaller, right? She doesn't do me justice. If I had like 3.1, 1.9999, right? I just need this part. So this would be my month, right? And this would be my day. So if I turn a month and day string into a properly formatted month.day float, I throw everything to a list and sort it. And sort will well all this sort sees are we got numbers, sort in order. But I abuse this float format to store a date for me. So I essentially store a date as a number. And numbers are much easier to sort for strings. Because you sort strings, you have to do lots of statements, a lot of shuffling around. It's really annoying. Uh, you also can't abuse string comparison because they're different letters and stuff. No, I'm not explaining how to do a float. I was going to say actually that I'm going to leave the other two solution, the way you do without float. I'll leave that to y'all to how to do it. If I feel like it, I'll post an alternate solution later. Wait, is that 919? Oh, I thought it was 1019. I have time. I'll do the other solution. Okay. I thought I was 2 hours in for some reason. An hour in. Okay, cool. We'll do the other solution. So I'll post Q2. I'll do this one called Q. That's in our folder. I'll call this Q2 alternate. So the other way, right? You have the hard way about not doing anything numerically, right? You didn't even have to use a float, right? No, you did have to use a float, but if you have to sort the months, right? It does get a little crazy if you don't sort it during the right order. So the first thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to copy these over. I'm going to copy this whole thing over. Take out like this part. So I'm going to do the same thing. I will still have my month and day. Uh, let's see. I'll do a dictionary as well, so it's much simpler to read. I'll do this. Actually, I did it. So this is 1, 2. You get the pattern. I'll type it out. Do you think while I'm typing this out, well, you don't have much time, but think about how you would do it without using numbers. I mean, yes, you would sort, but how would you sort is the question. We all know you have to sort. I mean, that's the whole premise of the question. All right. So I have my dates, right? Now this time, every time I put in a date, I keep it in order. So that will be how I do it. So I need to order the dates. So I'm gonna do for J in range, length of dates. Okay. So I am going to go for each date and find where I'm supposed to put this thing. Okay. So we'll do the following. We'll check the month first, right? So if my month, or we'll do indexed month. So we'll do like indexed month. So the month I'm checking, right? It'll be dates J split, right? We'll put in the so we'll do I month equals dates. So not dates. Index date 0 and I day. I being index, so I know which month and day I'm using. Index date 1. So I need to extract the month to compare, the date to compare. So the month I have a day and check the month. So if my month, so more specifically, if months month dot lower is less than um, months I month dot lower, uh, we'll just insert, we'll just insert in here, right? So we do dates dot insert, right? So insert, we'll do J then date. You don't remember how you do insert, you can just do dates equals, so we want everything, oh, sorry, we want everything up to that date. The second for loop may run. On the first date, it won't ever run, but at the end of the first for loop, I insert, like in here, I'll insert a date, right? Um, you could just do like up here, right? Like insert if first date. You can do if length dates equals 0, then we can just add the date and we continue. This way you can guarantee that this for loop always runs. Good question. Date equals date, and we'll do J minus 1. Then we'll add the date in followed by dates. So dates J after, right? That isn't it, right? It's just J. Do you think about the list, right? Let's say I have like the number 3, and I have 1, 2, and 4, and 5, right? Right here and an index 2, right? So dot J, so dot 2, right, is this part. And then 2 dot is this part, and then the 3 in the middle is right here. So that's how this insertion works. Whenever you add lists together, you make a big list. So the order does matter. Dot insert is a lot easier though. I'll do like this to keep it Cybex friendly. All right. That's not it, right? Now, if the months are equal, right? So if month dot lower equals months I month dot lower. Now we check the day, right? Now we have to check the day. Same month, check day. Now it goes like this. If its day is less than it's less than or equal. Because if you're literally the same day, it doesn't really matter which one goes first, right? As long they're next to each other. It's the important part. I'll do I day. We'll insert it again like this. Um, if nothing happens, we'll just skip. Okay. Uh, let's see. I'm trying to think. There's one thing I'm missing. I want to break this, and here we also want to break. Okay. So essentially, right, if I go through this list at any moment, right, I go before a date, I want to insert and break. But now here's a question, right? If I go through the whole list, but I might do this question wrong a couple of times. I actually don't remember how to do this completely correctly without numbers. If I go through this whole list without adding anything, right? What do I do? Notice that every time um I insert a date, I break, right? This means I can use an else dates dot end date. This is right here. Date is still out of subline. So remember, if you use an else with a loop, the else only executes if the loop doesn't break. So here I am utilizing the fact that if I do break, I've inserted date. If I manage to go through the entire list without breaking once, then that should be the end. That means I can safely insert the list at the end. Now, before I take questions, I want to make sure that I did not um, over and not have an oversight. So I wanted to make sure it works. So might get an error from right here. January, like 9, right? All right, I should do this. Wait, do January, let's see, 1. Yeah. Do, 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 do. It's the wrong day, isn't it? My date is, oh, oopsies. I don't want to add the date. I want to add, uh, this is what I get for not planning this ahead of time. Let this be an example of what you should always plan. I can't even do this without planning. Dates, this should be fine. Right. This should be date string. Cool. All right. January 9th. See? So that goes in there perfectly fine. I hit enter twice, which is why it crashed. We'll do January 12th. January, let's see, 9th, do like in between January 10, January, let's do 13. I misspelled a month, questioning it. Do January 9th, January 12th, January 13th. So that's and as usual, right? Do like March 3rd. And we do like February 2nd. We'll do like 9, right? Right here. So all my months are sorted. And actually, from here, I just need to output the dates. Output the dates. And I'm going to do this so you all remember. You all need to remember how to use .join. Join smushes, like it takes all the strings in a list and combines them together using a separator. So using print, where you use common separation, right? Define a separator. This does it more cleanly for a list of strings. So do this. So we do January 9th, January 12th, January 1st, we do December 10th, why not? March 2nd. There you go. You can see that all of my strings are separated by commas. I know that I said strings. Your list must be all strings for join to work. Also, you should know about join by now, since join was mentioned the FAQ, like not the Discord FAQ, the actual FAQ on the individual lab, for at least one of them. So, it's tested or not, I'm not sure, but you definitely do need to know how join works, because it's just insanely good for making your output correctly. Anyways, I don't know if I can show the whole code. But any questions about this program? Just see if it help a bit. There you go. Any questions at all? This problem is actually very difficult, right? You need some creative thinking and do it with floats, or you do it, or you have to be very careful about how you compare the strings. Because if you compare the strings after taking input, it's going to take you a hot second to guarantee that everything is in order. It's just easier to order as you put in the dates. So you don't have to go through once, recheck, go again, etc., etc. Any questions? Also, by the way, when I said I would go to midnight, I will go to midnight. Don't think that I have a set amount of problems. I finish early. I will go all the way to midnight. I have Dr. Ritchie's permission to go through as many questions as I would like to. It's not from a multi-section, so if you have questions, do ask. I'm here till midnight. Okay, no questions. That means I'm gonna move on to the next question I have in mind. Next question I had in mind is a phone number lab. I don't think you'll how to do it. I sure did. I took, I think it was a lab last year and when I took 0.02, so 2 years ago. So this lab is, yeah, so you have like this, it's like a regular, phone number pad. And basically, if the prompt goes, if you're given this 10-character phone number, you have to replace the letters with numbers and then reformat it like this. And it says you can assume the last 7 characters are the letters from A to Z. So that's very neat. I did do this problem already. This is question 13 additional. It's really, really short. Um, but I'll code this from scratch, right? Do I'll make a new program. Um, where is it? This one. There we go. And then let's do this folder. Doing this without a dictionary is really painful. You can still use that without dictionary, but you can abuse the fact that A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. If you subtract two from a number, you have your index. That's fine. Or you have your index, you add two to the current number. But if you don't know that index when you can't redo this without a dictionary, this is a very straightforward dictionary problem. Like the whole just a problem was to do dictionaries. Um, Technically speaking, right, any dictionary that maps a value to a number, like ascending order, can always be learned as a list. But it's just more straightforward to use a dictionary. It's also easier for you to check using a dictionary. At least in my opinion, it's more English friendly to use a dictionary if you can, compared to a list. If you're mapping values from one to the other, that's the whole point of dictionary, to map one value to another. To use a list would be dictionaries are not tested. You are free to use them if you're not banned. You can always ask your professor ahead of time and ask if you're allowed to use them or not. But usually, if it's not banned by a problem, anything goes. As long as it's Python, right? If we ask you to do something, you have to do that. If you're asked to do a for loop, you have to do a for loop. Don't use a while loop. You will lose points. If we ask you not to use a for loop, and use a for loop, you will lose points. So do read the question carefully. This one doesn't specify anything of the sort. Like there's nothing that says I can't do this or I can't do that, or sorry. There's nothing that says I can't do this or I must do this. So I'm pretty much free to do whatever I want. Um, so I'll do this. And now do this as a dictionary since uh dictionaries are pretty strong. I'll show you how to use the dictionaries. I don't know when next time you'll be testing dictionaries this much, but um, it's good practice. So this is phone number lab. Phone number lab. All right. I'll split screen this. It's pretty thin. Yeah. So I'm not going to go through the whole input output thing again, but also annotate though. Should I do it again? Because single consistency. First thing, right? You want the input. Second thing, process. Third thing, output. Okay. So input is a 10 character phone number in this format. Right. So I have a string, right? A string that goes like this. Um, 5, 6, 7. I can't count. Okay, right. And then I know that I need to replace these characters with digits and display in this format. So I have like these values, right? This goes with this goes with this. So I'll use a dictionary to map letters to numbers, right? That's really it. And then some string formatting to make the final formatting, right? Not much, just dictionary, do some string replacement, and then reformat it. And my output is just this. So just the x dash x dash x. Nothing too bad. Any questions so far? All right. In that case, we got Cody. Here it is. That's a million times. All right. First off, right, the input. We'll get the phone number, right? So my phone, right? I'll input, enter phone number. Now from here, right? We'll do our like numpad dictionary. And we'll call this numpad, and then I'll do ABC and do two. DEF we assign that to three. GHI to four. JKL to five. MNO to six. EQRS to seven. TUV to eight. And WXYZ to nine. So um, now to convert, right? Now the question is, how do I want to convert? There were the list of tested subjects is on the multi-section, by the way. So the dictionaries is not on it. Dr. Ritchie, course quite inter exam writer, she said she will not be doing dictionary. So do not expect to be doing dictionaries. Um, but you haven't taught them, so use them if you can. Well, if you want, not if you can. Um, anyways, so now I'm gonna find a way to replace everything, right? And let's go do that. So I'm going to show two ways. One way is the very neat way if you really know string methods. The other way is what happens if you don't know the string methods. Both of which are fine. So this is the fancy string way. So what we're going to do is go for every single number. Um, First I'm going to do two things. Before I do this, I want to collapse um, this thing into one unit. That's going to be very much easier for me, right? So I'm gonna do phone equals phone. So we'll do dot join phone dot split. I want to like remove the minus sign. This way makes formatting a lot easier for me later on when I make the new phone number. Um, Anyways, let's go. We can also do slicing. So we phone, it'd be wait, 0, 1, 2, 3, up to 3, then afterwards 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So up to 3 means just the first 3. The next 4 starts after. Either works. So let's set this on. So for um, let's do char and phone, right? If it's a number, right? So if uh char in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we'll continue. Else for key in notepad, if char dot upper, then key, uh, we'll just replace it. So we'll do phone dot replace char notepad, and that's it. So let's do example one real quick. Let it go FedEx. Notepad key. Oh, this should be a string. So it'd be 800 dash one, go FedEx, right? Right. Wait, I messed up something really badly here. For key and numpad. Oh, right, phone equals 800 FedEx. There we go. Here's the number we want. Almost, but that's the number we want. So let's go through this really quickly. So I'm gonna go for every character in the phone number. And if that character is a number, remember you can use in with strings. Same thing with lists. With lists, right? It checks the left side is in the list. The string, same thing. It checks if the left side value is inside the string. In this case, so this is a single character, right? Single digit potentially. I'll just check for each individual character, or in this case, digit. So if it's a number, I'll be in here, right? And I don't care about the numbers. We go next. Otherwise, now if it's a letter, right? I don't know which base it is because there's multiple letters assigned to the same value. You could just do, one value per letter, but it's a little long. It's 26 values. You mess one up, that's gonna be really annoying to debug. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna loop through the entire NumPad dictionary, and I'm gonna check every key individually. If that letter belongs to this subset, I replace that character with a number. And I put the new string back into the original variable. Any questions about this? No replace won't be tested before you ask. Nor will upper. Very, very nice things to use. Makes everything uppercase. You do dot upper in a string, it forces it to be uppercase. How do you format? I'm not formatting it. I'm just processing. I said I'm not quite I'm not going to process the numbers yet. I just want to show how I convert the characters to a number at a moment. I do recommend upper and lower though. Knowing upper and lower, it's the name itself is self-explanatory, right? Like lower and lowercase is everything, upper uppercase is everything. It does make everything a lot easier to deal with if capitalization is always an issue. Okay, so this is one way to do it, right? I want to go comment this out and we'll do it the other way, which is the build a string way. This is the build a string way. Right. So we'll do the same thing. We go for every character. And if it's a number, I skip. New phone. The number is added. So if chart in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we just add it to the phone. Else, right? Replace the letter with the number, right? For key in numpad. If char dot upper and key, then we do new phone plus equals string numpad key. Cool. So that should work. New phone. I do hope so. I probably forgot something very important, but we'll see. No, okay, there you go. Same thing. It's actually saying like it's the same amount of line to code too. So the only thing I changed was don't continue, I added to a new string, and I just add the new value to the new things. It's just one line longer. Um, this makes more. This is what comes out of my head first, but this is probably the easier way to do it. Either is fine. Again, you just need to know what you're doing. Um, any questions about the building the stream? You keep typing, you typing a question. But if you do the list, sure, you can do the list. You change this to a list, and then I mean, I I don't think this question would be asked as a list question because it's particularly difficult to think of a dictionary as a list. I mean, you can. I'll name it pad, and we'll do A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O E U R S D U V W X Y Z. That's right. And then you do string pad index key. Sorry, for for key in pad. Let's see this works. 800. Oh wait, I didn't do one point thing. I need to add two to it. Sure. Use a list. I want to use a list. It's not very straightforward to me. You mess up the padding, it can go haywire. If a indices start at 0, your phone number padding starts at 2. That's the important part. If you forgot to add 2, you would start at 0 of ABC and go to number pad, it starts at 2. That's the extremely important part. You don't forget the offset to match the prompt. Because the list always starts at 0, no matter what. Now, in real life, what the list represents, you have to make sure you convert it correctly. Which is why I prefer to use a dictionary. There's no messing up a dictionary unless you mistype the dictionary itself. That being said, I don't like using lists too much. I think it's cute and funny to use a list instead of a dictionary, but is it safe or great? Probably not. I can be reckless and use a list because I'm not graded. Anyways, so from here, we're going to format. Format the number. Even being reckless, I still do generate the right answer. I'm going to format this before I go insane. And we'll do some string slicing. So that's not how you do it. So first, we'll do new phone. Will be 0 to 3, so the first three numbers, right? And then we'll do 3 to 6, the next three numbers. Oh, wait, that's there we go. And then the last four numbers. 800 go FedEx. Beautiful. That's my code. Any questions about this program? If you alter the string, you got to use replace. It's exceptional. Oh, you would have to use a write an index loop and you have to use a lot of string splitting, but it would be um, you like for I in range phone, and then you would string split. So you can do it. I wouldn't recommend doing it, but this type of building a new string is very, very popular. Um, no, you can't do it without. No, you have to do it. Well, no, you don't have to, but it's a ton more work to do. Um, I recommend you just do it this way and try to do it in place. There's no benefit in using less variables in this scenario. It looks less clean actually. You tried doing that, so I wouldn't do it. If you did a fancy way, you use phone, not new phone. That's the only variable we have so far. Yes. Keep it there. Okay. Any more questions? Curious how I did it. Oh, I didn't make a new string. So I did. Made a new string. Okay, cool. All right. So it's currently 10 o'clock. We're gonna do a 5 minute break. So we reconvene. Oh, we'll do a 10 minute break. We'll reconvene at 10:10. Feel free to ask questions. I would, oh, not 10:10. 10:08. 10:08, and I start the next FRQ till midnight. Okay. So this is like a mid-review break. We've gone through free FRQs, 2 hours. Go take a break. You're gonna find that the rest of the review is very repetitive, but I would do increasingly harder FRQs. So you might want to stick around if you have problems with lists and loops. Because I do think my next few questions do get exceedingly harder. Yeah. If you ask questions, you have any, I'm gonna do the laundry real quick, but I'll be right back. If you have a list that contains only words, how do you index a specific letter? Um, I mean, if you know, so first letter is index zero, right? So you have to first index, right? For any string, right? Like your str, what like whatever, right? You sneeze 1 second. Excuse me. The first letter, right? It's just the first part, just zero, right? The last letter, just -1. Usually the nth letter is the n-1 index, right? Or the negative n, well, not negative n. Like yeah, on the second letter you do index one, right? You need to write it out, right? Let's say like I had my word. I guess this was an example word, right? If you're not sure what maybe was second letter. So this is like the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth letter, right? This is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In this case, -7, -6, -5, -4, -3, -2, -1. If you're doing like from the end, right? You want to do negative. So like for the last letter, anything like first letter or second letter, right? Just match with the index. So you can't figure out what index is, make an example string and find what index is. So usually it's a pattern. There's no the nth letter is always at a specific index, always. There's no exception to it. Unless the format really varies, but in general, if everything's like an actual word, no weird punctuation, whatever. The nth letter is at the n-1 index. That's how it usually goes. The third letter is second index, right? Sixth letter is fifth index. If you want to do, first letter, right? Then you could do like, um, you know, like four, you know, four, um, let's see, 4i in range length. Is it? We'll do like aims, right? Yeah, I'll retype it so it's easier. So, see, animals equals was it dog, cat, right? You don't, well, there's actually a built-in for this, which is kind of neat. 4i in range like animals. You could just say animals I equals animals I capitalized, which is kind of neat. But your question is with indices, right? So I didn't print it out like a dummy. You can do this, right? But you want to like isolate and just capitalize it, right? Like obviously you need to be really good with CHR and ORD commands, or you need to map every letter. So you could do like letters equals you know, yeah, A, capital A, and B with capital B, C with capital C, so on and so forth. I'm not gonna write all of them out, but this is just enough. You do animals I equals, we'll do letters, animals, 0, right? And then we'll add everything else. Animals. Oh, wait, I can't type. I0. There you go. Am I still? Wait, can I calculate string letters and then. Oh, this is also I. There you go. So once you isolate whatever layer you want, you can decide what you want to do with it. Whether swap it out, put it back in. But if you want to like do it in place replace, you need to build a new string using slicing to insert a new thing in and reassign it back into whatever's storing it. So you're basically replacing the value, not entirely the value. Using this call. Mostly familiar names. All right. Anyways, let's get back to yeah. Gotta write a whole alphabet. I mean, that's why this exists. We just learn this instead. Much easier on you. But worst comes to worst, yeah, you gotta write out the whole alphabet in this case. Pretty annoying, but it will get the job done. I'm still recording, right? See, next question I wanted from a Spears practice set. Let's read this one. 13, 20, 20. Like 20 did. Ah, this one. Uh, hmm. Wait, what else? There's 13. Question 3. I guess let's do. Where's 28? Let's do 28. Uh, 28 might look familiar. It's because it's basically boiling point. Um, I'll let y'all read this. I won't read it. Um, but it's a lot of text for me to read. My eyes are really tired from doing so much homework and Zach. But it's basically an early interpolation question. We have a lot of bounds to take care of, essentially. But can you all still hear me? Just want to make sure I didn't get sound like super quiet. Zoom, that's not it. Okay, cool. That's because this is blinding my face off the earth. Okay. We'll do. Oh, actually, I'll open this one. Q28. Right. Oh, that's better. Okay. So I'll put it to the side. So this one, I'll go a little faster. And I kind of want to do a more, but this one I'll go more as full speed. And why is this not clicking? Okay, so one is input, right? Here's process. Freeze output. All right, so your input, right? So blah, 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 blah. Okay. So you get input from keyboard representing the time. So I have 70, which I'll probably turn to not fit float, right? Because it's any number from 0 to 200, technically, right? So it needs to be a float input. And I need to check if it's correct or not. It says warn, and this time it says don't use a loop. So I'm going to use a while loop to validate the process. So what is the performing integration? So one, we're going to figure out the bounce. one, gotta figure out the bounds. Which of these bounds, am I doing A, B, am I doing B, C, C, D, D, E, or E, F, right? Gotta figure out which of those lines to use. So two is like to create the function, right? To actually interpolate. And to interpolate, I'm gonna make a function for this. Right? And then my output, just the height, right? That's it. Nothing very fancy about that. Any questions so far? Hmm. Yeah, cool. No questions. Let's carry on. Right, comments. We love our comments. Input, right? So take the time. So time equals float input, enter the time from between 0 and 200. Specifically say it's in seconds. Okay. Right. And then do a while loop while time's less than 0 or time's greater than 200. We keep asking. Control C, Control V. Right. Now we can function for interpolating or interpolation. Uh, you can make functions. I think you might be testing how to read a function or how to use one, like they call a function, but I don't think you'll be tested on how to make one. But functions in this case, it's very neat because I'm doing the same main interpolation formula with different points. So if I just give it different points, we should be good to go, right? So in define my interpolate function, I'll have in x0, y0, x1, y1, and my t. My definition, right? My slope is y1 minus y0, by x1 minus x0, and my h is my slope times the difference in x values. I choose whatever x I want plus y0, and I return h. That's it. I did forget one thing though. We need to write down the values you give us. So these are prompts given balance. So my time data equals 0, 37, 8, 125, 150, 200. My height data is 65, 65, 300, 300, 200, 200. Now we need to figure out the balance, right? So for I in range, like time data minus one. Okay. Why minus one? Because I want to check if my value is between the current one and the next one. If I go way down to this one, right? The very last one, I check after, I'm at a bounce. So I need to check just to the second to last number. So I can check this one. Right. So from here, um, if see time data I less than equal to time less than equal to time data I plus one. This is valid, by the way. You can chain relational like this. You gotta be very careful about it. When you're in the same direction, like less than less than, this is a very neat way if you have a lower bound output. Right? And from here, we're gonna calculate an output. So print see at time right will be let's do final height interpolate, right? So my x0, right? is my time data at I. My y0 is height data at I. My x1 is time data at I plus 1. My y1's height data at I plus 1. And my input is time. So do final height and meters. Let's go test it out. All right. So I do, random times afterwards. Oh, that doesn't work. It won't give me anything, right? Keep asking me to give it a good number. So if I do like 0, right? At 65, that's good. If I do 37, be at 65. Wait. Oh wait, I need to break. That's I thought I was gonna be 37 works, but this is like 12.5, right? And oh, it's a straight line. Never mind. I need to do something like 50, right? And you can see like from here to here it goes up. So she had a number in between close to 300. This looks about fine. Let's do 130. It's from here to here. It should go down. This looks about fine. I mean, I probably should, handwrite some test cases, test them out, but this looks right so far. This is actually my final code. Any questions for this program? No questions whatsoever. Okay, cool. Uh, let's see. I have 16 of y'all. Are there any questions you have? I have more stuff to do, but um, you know, I think by this point you might have the idea already. So I'll open up the room a bit. Any particular questions you would like me to answer? You can pull any practice problem, and I'll do it as well. You have like I will not be answering questions about code. It has to be a general enough question. This is not like an office hours. I need a specific enough question I can answer to the whole room. But a question, yeah. You have absolutely no questions. You're good and dandy with every single thing we've done so far in 102. And you don't want to ask, fair enough, but I would recommend you realize this time there's only like 15 people in here. I'm not allowed to go for labs. We're not due yet. The module 7's not due for everyone quite yet. I'm pretty sure for Dr. Ritchie, her is due like Tuesday, the 11th or something. So until it's all due, even if it's all due, I don't think the professor is very happy for me to talk about solutions since some of the labs hit reuse. So maybe privately, but definitely not publicly. You can go for a list 2 ways. If you have a list, I'll call it names. I'll call it numbers, right? And for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are lots of ways to go backwards. Right? One is go a for loop backwards using range. So for I in range, length numbers -1, -1, -1. You can do this. You can now print this. Right, that's completely we'll just do end. Right, you can do a for loop with slicing. For I in range of numbers, -1, you can print I. And that's it. Oh, you can see, same thing again, prints it backwards. Oh, just use 2 ways normally. You slice it backwards, you go for it backwards. Or I guess if you want to be more fancy, you can do using sorting. This is in reverse sort. Fine range in sorted numbers reverse equals true. You can also print I. Right? There's lots of ways you can use the reversed or non-sorted. Lots of ways to go through a list backwards. So these 2 are probably your top 2 choices. Bottom 2 are more situational. The last one requires you to know about its existence in the first place. The bottom one requires you to know about its existence in the first place. Uh, dictionaries. Dictionaries, if you want to, okay, dictionary is a list where the indices is the key and the value is a value, right? So like, with the the numpad from before, right? Every index is a key, right? So if I did print numpad, ABC, I get 2. It's a dictionary, right? If I asked you to give me a definition of a word, I give you like the physical copy of a dictionary. You would flip through, find a word, and give me a dictionary, a definition, right? Python's more the same thing, right? You give it the key, it gives you the value attached to that key. You give it the wrong key, it doesn't do anything for you. Yeah. To find a certain value, you have to basically go through every key and find a value you want. Um, that's kind of annoying. You can do dot values, dot keys, but I would recommend go for Zybook for that. So I don't want to repeat the whole Zybook lecture. Any more questions? I mean, any questions that doesn't involve me going for your lab or going for your personal code. Okay. I am feeling kind of sick actually, so I'll probably do 1 or 2 more, and I'll call it a night. Tuples. Tuples are lists you can't change. So like my numbers should be 4, right? I did 1, 2, 3, right? You can't change them at all, so I can't do this. That's illegal. I can't add anything to it. That's also illegal. So it's like strings, we can't change anything. Tuples, once you make one, you can't change it. It's a list you can never change. You can't change. Oh, okay. Uh, Generally you can't change. There's a lot of weird intricacies about tuples. Like if the data type itself is mutable, you can change it. Like you did this. Let's do like 4, 5, right? I can still change it, weirdly enough. I can do this. Unless we fixed it. Um, it's kind of odd that a mutable item in, I'm gonna stop my video. A mutable item in a tuple can still be changed to some extent. You can't change the size, that changes the tuple. Um, but yeah, it's kind of funny that this is legal. Was this similar to test difficulty? That depends on your prof. I don't know. I have heard some professors have really easy quizzes. I have heard some professors have beyond difficult quizzes. I can't really tell you. On average, probably, I hope. I would just say the practice problems are probably your best bet of a similar looking exam question. Some of them are rejected, like they're too vague or uh, too complex or whatever. But I don't know. The practice, they're picked selected by professors to represent what they believe is a good representation of the exam. So take that as you will. But was this similar? Yeah. We'll be running. Yep, there are free FRQs, which is why I have this review here. I would not be doing this review if there were no FRQs. Three of your FRQs are about like 30-40% your entire midterm. And same for the final. You generally have, historically, it's always been you have some MCQ, you have some SAQ, like fill in the box. Um, like very, very short answer, like your quizzes. And then you have three FRQs, three different prompts to answer. And they're generally like very different. Like it's not like you do one basically the other. It's three different prompts. Go the whole thing. Might not be super, probably not super long though, but would definitely be testing and everything so far. Which is why, well, like this review, I do want to mention. I have mentioned, making sure your input output process and all that good jazz are done flawlessly because you don't have an IDE. You can't test your code. I have luxury testing my code and changing it. Probably shorter in the labs. Um, yeah, it's hard for me to say because as a PT, as who's done before, labs are, I could do the lab as a FRQ, no problem. But eh, some labs are done really short, like they're really, really short. But it's hard to say. Because some labs by now should be easy for you because you have experience. Lab 7 probably still difficult. Some are still working on it. But like labs 1 through 5, maybe 6 should be pretty. Oh, not 6. 1 through 5 should be easy, right? 6 and 7 pretty hard. Um, Sorry, I want a firm answer. I guess it's going to be too subjective. Um, it might be simpler too, just because it's hand graded. We, if the question's too complex, it would take a century to grade them all. So I guess there, the code shouldn't be as long as some of these labs, but the problem complexity maybe. Like you'll just see when you get to the exam. It's really hard for me in words. I'm not even allowed to look at the effort the exam anyway, so I can't really tell you how we would be. All right, let's do like one more, and then I'll take my leave since I'm like feeling progressively more sick today. No, no, no. Apologies for having to end early, but like to not be dead for tomorrow. Where is my email? Here it is. Question 3, 13, 20. It's 20. Oh, this one. Okay. I mean, this one's a pretty good one because I don't know. It looks easy, but it's actually a lot of moving parts that will trip you up pretty easily. We're gonna delete this. So, oh, I'm missing something. Where's my pets? There we go. Pets. So question 20. So we have a number 73, and it's claimed that 73 is the 21st prime number, which is true. It is the 21st prime number. And you want to make a program that prints all the prime numbers to verify this claim. So it's a code where basically you print the first 20 prime numbers, which is a bit harder than it does seem, right? You might all know that famous Steve, um, not formula, process, I guess, where you start with like 2, right? And you move on multiples of 2, the next number is prime, you move on all those multiples, rinse, repeat to the end. It is a little lengthy, so I guess let's just go flip it, right? So there's no input. There's the output's very straightforward too. So we're just go straight into the process. So first we want to have the primes. And my primes at the moment contains nothing. Right. And I want to loop through every number. So for the number in range, right? And we'll do 2 to 73. And we'll see that um, uh, it's between 1 and 73, not including 73. But I can skip 1 because 1's not prime. That's neat for me. Oh, first I need a function to determine if the number is prime. Yeah, it's needed. Remaining numbers. Actually, I'm gonna do this method instead. So I'm gonna start every number. So all my numbers, it's be a list form of range 2 to 73. If you didn't know you could do this, you can definitely do this. This can save you a lot of time if you're doing a list of odd numbers. You can save every number from 2 to 72, or 73 to 73. And what I'm gonna do is we're gonna do we're gonna loop through every index. Not every number, every index. And here's the reason. It's with the sieve method, right? Where are we moving numbers from the list every single time? So we have to be very careful about how we go through. So our starting index will be 0. And then we'll do while index less than length of nodes. We don't want to go past because that's very bad, right? And we will check if prime, right? So if number is there, it's prime. So every number we hit is prime. So our number is currently numbers at index. And with the sieve method, remember that it removes every composite number. So every number remaining, next number remaining, has to be prime. Now we remove every multiple set number. Okay. So we'll do for I in range. And we do number, right? And we do +1. We don't want to include a number. So we don't need the primes. +1, we don't want to remove it. And we go all the way up to 73. And the multiple, right? So the step is the number itself. And we'll do a very simple thing. We'll remove that number from the list. So we'll do if I in numbers that remove I. Y'all do need to know how to remove a value from a list, at least in my opinion. I don't remember if it's tested or not, but knowing del remove pop are very, very important. So in my opinion, if you can put something in, you should have to take something out without string slicing. I guess you could do string slicing here. It'd be like yeah, I wouldn't do string slicing here. It's really, really awkward to do string slicing. Maybe you do remove. Oops, sorry. Okay, so pop gives you one, pop gives you the index back. Two, pop by default will remove the last number. So remove will take in the value and remove the first occurrence. Pop does the same thing, except we don't define anything. Pop will automatically remove the last value in the list, but then it gives it back to you. So you can store in a variable somewhere, you can pull it somewhere. Remove doesn't have return value. Del, the keyword, lets you delete slicing, which is really neat, but it also does not allow you to retrieve what was deleted. So it's kind of odd. Actually, it might be. I don't remember. But since I know the value I want to remove, I use dot remove. I could use pop, but I don't want to use it, so we remove. So for I in numbers, we remove a number and we go on. Then we just do this as output. So we'll just print numbers and length of numbers. Yes, I believe that's how it works. Yeah. And pop by default removes the last one. I forgot to increment next, didn't I? Yeah. You can always look it up to double check me, but I don't want to. I Oh, right. It's number plus number. Okay. Yeah. So this is a suspiciously short piece of code. It's for a very good reason. And one is because we use deceive, right? I can't ever say his name correctly, so I won't even try. But so first I create all the numbers, right? You can use like an empty list do it for the rather than randomly, but I just do this to save myself some time. And then I have an index, right? I know for sure that any number I reach that hasn't been removed has to be prime. That's how deceive works. So this prime number, right, is number I want to look at, and I want to remove every number that's a multiple of it, excluding itself. So I want to start at not the current number, but the next multiple, which is number plus number. And we go all the way up to 73, we're not including. And our step is number because we want multiples of n, right? Like if it's 2, we want step of 2. If it's 4, we want step of 4, right? And if that number is in the list, we take it out. And increment by 1. And this rinse and repeats until we're done. And to highlight this process, we're going to use the debugger. You can see my numbers list. It's like really long, like really effing long. Right? You can see all my numbers right here, right? So you can see like, these are like the indices of my, right? So this is my starting, right? This is my numbers list. And now when I step in, see that my current number is 2. So this is my first prime number. Then I'm remove every multiple of 2 except itself. So I step to the for loop. And look at I start at 4, right? This is the first value. This is the first multiple of 2 that's not itself. And now I simply remove it, right? So you can see the 4 disappeared. And as I start removing values, watch as the even numbers start disappearing one by one. There's quite a few, so I'm going to sprint for just a bit. 42, 44, 48. Almost there. 56. 68, 70, 72. We're done. Index increase by 1, right? Now our next number is 3. Now, a 3, right? Now we remove every multiple of 3. So let's go ahead and do that. You can see that every multiple of 3 slowly disappears. That, that, that. And you might need a gist, but I'll finish this up anyways. Say 2. And we're now back to the next one. Now we're in the next number, right? Our next number is 5. Now we remove every single multiple of 5. Oh, where are you on 5? We're on 7 right now, so we're too fast. Okay. And I'll leave it here, right? I won't go all the way, but you can see that, oh, I'm already actually done. All the rest of the numbers, it will just go through once through for it. But you can see that um, I have 20 values exactly. And the problem said to prove that 73 is a 21st prime number. So the number right after this would be 73, and it would be 21 values. So are there any questions about this solution? Any questions about the solution? Sorry. Yeah. With this question, right, it's uses both for and while loop. So seems pretty simple, but you mess up either loop, your whole program goes kaboom. So yeah, like I said, when I was in early, I apologize for the early end. I'm feeling pretty sick and my voice is already dying. Um, I will still try my best to hold my review tomorrow if I'm not sick. My review tomorrow will be similar to the video I put in the review drive, the review practice problem drive for the answers. I would like to reiterate again to please go to the reviews coming up. There's one tomorrow before me. There is I think Lily and Casey have some reviews coming up. They're doing practice problems. They're both really good. Well, Lily's a really good PT, really strong PT. A really good, educator in general. And then Erica has hers on Tuesday, I believe. Really, really strong PT. Would happily say she's a much better PT than I am. So would highly recommend to go to both of their reviews. Then Arnav and his friends. Um, I'm sure they're of good quality too. I just haven't worked with them long enough to really say much. But they are holding their reviews tomorrow and the day after, I believe, or tomorrow and Tuesday. Would need to check the review schedule again to be sure. Um, yeah, check the review schedule. I'll have this YouTube video up tomorrow, hopefully. I've been very busy and very sick, so I'm a little behind on editing the YouTube video chapters, but I'll get to that as soon as I can. This GitHub will be updated very shortly as well to have the problems done from today. Yeah, apologies again for ending early. I do need to take care of myself first. How do you convert a list of integers into it? I assume you mean like if you had uh like something like this, right? One, two, blah blah blah. Just do like for I and just look through and replace, right? Numbers I equal equals and numbers I. That's it. Nothing too fancy. Just go for each element and replace it with its inversion. You can split if you have an input. Like if you're taking an input, you would split it and then go through the list and convert each one to it. And that'll be it. Um, you can just do uh, print string numbers and then just skip the first and last characters. Because dot join only works with strings. So if your list is numbers, you have two options. You can reconvert everything back to a string when you use dot join, or abuse the fact that if you convert a list into a string, it literally gives you the list. Like if you print a list, it looks exactly like that. So if you skip the first and last letter, you just have everything else, which is everything with the brackets. Pretty handy tricks for formatting. Yeah. So anyways, tomorrow, uh, I'll try my best to blast for as many practice problems as I can. Citrus saying common not banking. Um, that's why it's prepared. You need to be prepared. Um, also remember that Python is ultra flexible, right? Unless you forgot entirely how to do something like a list or dictionary or something like that, right? And that's not forgivable. But some things you kind of BS out of your way by doing some bad looking code but effective code, right? Also, like your MCQ and your SAQ, treat that as your reminders, right? We can only ask you about so many things. We've only covered so many things. So you can this is my step. If I don't define this, I go for every number. I would remove every single number. I only want every number that's a multiple. And the way to ensure it's a multiple is to step by that same thing. That's the definition of multiple. You just add the same number to it over and over again. 4, 8, 12, 16. You add 4 over and over and over. You should walk into exam with confidence. You don't know, you don't know. That's just how it goes. Don't waste your time. Move on to the next problem. Maybe one problem reminds you how to do another. one way now we write code in so many questions. It's happened before. Sometimes the question, the code one question reminds you how to do it for another one. It's probably done as an accident, but do what you gotta do. Also, if you plan properly, then the only thing you have to worry about is the translation to Python. And that part is it's notably difficult, but with enough practice and time and all that you've done, I think that at least anything with loops and lists should be pretty easy. Loops and lists might take a bit of thinking of how to implement correctly, but be as specific as you can when you're planning. You saw that even I couldn't do some problems without planning. I messed up a question a couple of times in a row. So do what you gotta do to make sure that there's no confusion of what am I supposed to do? What do I want to do? If you have a plan of what you want to do, um, you have the comments down at least, you might get partial credit. Uh, just write down something, right? Do what your brain feels is correct. If you start double guessing yourself, you're gonna be effed. You can't double guess yourself. Just let it flow, and then check later. If it looks like nonsense, you probably want to fix it. But otherwise, let your fingers do the work, or the keyboard, I guess. Right. So, anyways, like I said, I'm feeling really sick. So end a little early. Apologize for that. Video will be up sometime tomorrow. Chapters will be added sometime, let's say Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday the latest. I'll try for Monday so you don't have time to, look for videos and everything. Look at the review schedule. I recommend you go to all the remaining reviews, especially Lily and Casey's and Erica's, since they are very strong PTs in their own right. Um, Probably better than me, most definitely better than me. If they're doing more practice problems. Tomorrow I'm doing practice problems as well. 4 hours straight if I don't collapse of sickness. Last year I did 50 something 3 hours. Maybe this time I'll do like 60, 70 in 4 hours. We'll see how my fingers feel. Um, yeah, and with that, thank you for coming. Have a great rest of your night, and I hope the rest of your fall break goes well.